Is it sharing my video? Are we able to see it?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So this is kind of an update to the updates and like dream towns that we had for Animal Crossing. So I'm actually going to skip to this one. I put it out of order. But last time we talked more about like beginner tips, expected updates that we had, and like how to time travel. I am going to share these slides. I either might put them in the chat, like just kind of while I'm chatting, or I might stick them there at the end. So if you're kind of here more for beginner tips, I do have those for you as well. Most of these you should be able to follow along though, especially if you've had the game and kind of gotten past the basics. So a quick who am I? I am a middle school science teacher, volunteering with WebCon, and especially when we did our big weekend. I've been playing Animal Crossing since their first DS game, Wild World. I wasn't a GameCube person. My mom never let me have it, so I had to start with the DS. I went to PAX East, and this was right when the coronavirus crazies were happening. So it was scary, but I did it in the name of Animal Crossing because I had to hang out at the booth the whole time. My favorite villagers are Alice, Bruce, and Vesta. They are the best. I will fight anybody over that. And currently, my favorite KK Slider song is KK House. So some new things in the game. So these were just added on July 30th. So if you have not updated your game since then, you're probably going to need to. Make sure you have an internet connection. It might update automatically if you have a connection on a day-to-day basis. So we have our summer event, swimming and diving, which happened not a while, but a little bit ago. Our dream towns, balloons, bad luck, and we also have backups for towns now. And then I've also been asked about some tips for decorating your towns and like making sure it's ready for a dream town, as well as having some time to share dream addresses. So first up, I want to talk about our summer shells. So your summer shells, those are those dark blue shells. You've probably been seeing them forever. They are used to complete certain like summer-based recipes, especially like mermaid ones. There's cool wallpapers for them. You can get those recipes from Pascal, bottles, balloons. Basically, I've just been stocking up on these since forever. I keep finding more and more recipes that need them. So I just like to keep a stack of them in my inventory that I can use as I'm going through and really crafting with them. And you're able to go back in time for these. So if you run out of them, like as the event goes on, whenever it ends, I don't know an official ending date, but you can always skip back to the summer season to collect more, which you can actually also do for the May Day event, which was the first week of May, May 1st through 7th. And you can also do it for the Cherry Blossom events, which I believe was the first week in April. Bunny Day, you can't go back and do, but I think that's okay because that was a little overwhelming. But for those collecting kind of events, you can go back. They span over some time. I know some people have had issues with their shells spawning. Make sure, as you can see in our picture, this person has like all their other shells cleared out. So if you're having a problem with your shells spawning, just start picking up all of your other ones and you'll probably get more as time goes on. You can let it kind of sit and get more, like so you have a cool picture of them all at once. But the more you collect, the more you get. I also have really good luck with going to the island tours to collect these. Next up, we have our fireworks. You probably, unless you are a time traveler, you probably haven't seen the fireworks in this game yet. They are starting every Sunday in August, so tomorrow will be the first day if you're playing day to day. They've been a summer tradition in the game, I think, since the GameCube. You can time travel to these dates. You could go check this out right now if you wanted to. You could time travel to every single Sunday in August and you will have fireworks. You could talk to Isabel to display a pattern that's up in the sky. So when we make these patterns, I kind of drew this down here. They display in a circle shape. So what I'll do is I'll actually make a design and keep it in my like design inventory and copy that one and fill in designs as I go. There's been a lot of issues of people like trying to put in full designs and they're not showing up. And I think a lot of that's happening because we don't realize that it's in the circle. So it cuts off those edges. I think I've also seen some that that kind of cut off the bottom. So just make sure that you are being aware of that. You can also buy sparklers and other fun items to give to your villagers. You can use them yourself. Another new thing we have is diving. So you will meet this little guy, Pascal, if you collect a scallop while you are diving. You need a wetsuit. You can get it from Nook's Stop, like the little ATM in the game, or from Nook's Cranny. You just press A when you go in, you hold A to swim, Y to dive down. You don't need to spam A. You had to spam A in New Leaf. You can actually just hold it and you will sprint. And they actually just updated it in the recent update, so you will swim even faster to catch some of the rare creatures that are there, which is pretty cool. You can also have bad luck now, so you can trip and fall when you run. You can craft the King Tut mask to actually give yourself bad luck, or you will just randomly get bad luck sometimes. So for the game, it's kind of important because that shows us that Katrina might be showing back up in the game. She was our fortune teller in the previous ones. So you might be able to either have certain lucky items or she might be coming back with fortunes. There also used to be a glitch where you could trip and fall into the river in New Leaf. I'm not sure if they're going to patch this right away, but you might be able to do that or fall off of cliffs. I'm not entirely sure. And there's probably some sort of Nook Miles that you get for it, I'm sure. And with balloons, you can trip and fall and lose your balloons now. So you can get your balloons from Red's raffle during fireworks. You can lose these balloons by running and tripping, by tripping with the King Tut mask on. If you have bad luck and you just trip, you can also lose it from being scared by bees. I used to always hold my balloons and go around and shake trees. And then if you get a little hive that comes down, your character gets scared and they freeze and then they drop their balloons, which is not a fun time. Balloons have been kind of a weird obtainable item since the past games. So in the first Animal Crossing, you could buy them from Red during the fireworks show, as you can in New Horizons. But in Wild World, there weren't any. In City Folk, you got them kind of like a badge like you get now with Nook Miles. And then in New Leaf, you earned them from Street Pass if you passed the same person more than once. So as you pass them, they would give you different prizes each time. There is also now an island backup as our new little update that we had. So now if you lose your game or your console, you're not totally screwed. Before, your game is saved to your console, to your account. You could not put it into another console and use it that way. It was not set up to the cartridge. It was totally, you had to have the whole package together. Now there is some sort of backup. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work since I haven't walked through it myself. And I'm also not sure if it's going to be kind of a free transfer like other games are, or if you have to go through and submit a support ticket. They said to go to the Nintendo support website to find out more about it and to do it. So I'm guessing it's not going to be an easy transfer like some other games are with the Switch. All right, and then my favorite thing is Dream Towns. These just came out with the new update. You don't get tools in these Dream Towns, which is different from New Leaf. You used to be able to talk to one of the gyroids and he gave you tools. I think this is why we have rescue services. They haven't been a huge necessity in the game, but I know in Dream Towns and New Leaf, people were getting stuck in towns, just getting lost in areas and they couldn't get out. So one of the reasons why some people are I don't know why Dream Towns are exciting. Let me tell you why they're exciting. You can now visit islands without ruining a playable island, so you don't have to sit here and show off your island and babysit somebody the whole time or be babysat the whole time. It's a great way to gather inspiration for building your town. You can do it at 3 a.m. and you're not going to have to sit there and ask people to visit their town and open up their gates. You can go whenever you have your free time. Again, I wrote ruining it twice. I guess I was really excited about ruining some towns. And you can also save your town and then visit it again. So if you save your town in the spring, you can then visit it again like in the fall and it will save it as it is. So what I used to do in New Leaf was I kind of saved my town in an eternal like spring and I would visit it. I believe I visited it from
Hello, Sarah?
All right, I think I got bumped, but I'm back in.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I think it was my computer. It told me I ran out of memory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that was me. I'm hosting a server for Arc on my computer at the same time, so we're seeing how this is going. All right. So, a little bit more on Dreamtowns, how you can dream. You just jump into the bed. Like, you don't have to go to a Dreamtown suite. You don't have to talk to a certain NPC. So, once your game is updated, if you have not updated it since, or if it's not automatically updated, you'll get a letter from Luna in the mail and it has a bed. You don't have to use her bed. This person is using just a random bed in a random room. I've seen a lot of people setting up little dream rooms for themselves. You can do that, but you do not have to. Your gate has to be closed when you go to dream. It will not let you connect if your gate is open. You have to be in a bed in your house. You cannot be in a bed outside. I've already tried it. I've not tried it in another villager's house, but I believe you need to be in your own character's home. And you need internet connection and you need a dream address. So you can't visit random towns in New Horizon. You were able to visit them in New Leaf. You could just kind of like say like show me a random town, or you could search by a town name, but you can't do that in New Horizons. You need the dream address code. And then some tips for your dream towns. So one thing I want to go over first before I go into making it pretty is I want to go over your safety for that. As you go, you lay down in bed, you can enter your dream code, you can update it, and you'll get your dream code. If you decide you want your dream code, your dream address code taken down, you can adjust your privacy or you can fully delete it. So if you just want like certain people to see it, if you only want to have it for you, you can adjust that. Or you can delete it totally if you really don't like your dream, or you can update it. So once you set your dream, you can keep updating it as often as you need, as often as you make changes. So something that I always loved when I visited dream towns was when I was left presents. So if you leave people clothes or balloons or wetsuits, I loved that because they gave me something to do while exploring a town. People would often leave clothes that like fit their town aesthetic. So if they had like a pretty pink town, they would leave you all pink clothes. Or if they had like a grungy horror town, they would leave like torn up pants and like a t-shirt. So make sure you do things like that. I loved getting little like balloons and little like toys left around, like the little poppers and sparklers that you can now get from Reds as well. Plus, the wetsuit's nice to have because then you can swim around and check out the town that way. I would also make sure to include some sort of tools or materials. I haven't tried to see if you can craft yet while you're in dream mode. I really doubt it. But including tools, I'm somebody, I don't know why, I love going into really pretty towns and destroying it because I could never do that to my own town. So if you leave somebody a shovel or an axe, just things that they can mess around with, I think people would love that. Another popular thing you can do is you can like block off areas. So you spawn in your resident center plaza. So if you don't want people to go to a certain area of your town, you can just put items in their way so they can't get through. Some people were starting to just put up like blank mannequins to block off these areas. You can also use like really tall structures. You can use the bookcases or the screens to block those off, as well as fences. So you can always do that if you're not finished. You can also block off like just the doors to rooms as well in your house. So I know people who will post mansions, but then they only finish the main room. So they'll block off all the other rooms that are there. So that way you can't really see that, you know, your back room is just full of random DIY recipes. And to avoid to put into your town, there is a lot of reporting going on right now. A lot of it is not justified, I think. People are reporting for hacked items being found in towns, especially star trees with the little star fragments have been a really popular target of this. So make sure if you have anything that's obviously hacked, that you don't have it in for your dream town. Certain things that like you might have hacked in items like the little duplication glitch, people aren't going to notice that, I hope, but just keep an eye out for that. When you create your dream town, your passport slogan is actually what your character will say to people. So certain people have like their social media handles in there, and a lot of those have been getting reported and being taken down. I also saw somebody who was telling people to visit the bakery in their town, and that had gotten reported. So just be careful with that. Don't include curse words and catchphrases on your bulletin boards, on those passports, because people will see those. I also wouldn't include anything that you wouldn't want a kid seeing. I know some people like to do kind of like horror towns or raunchy towns, but just make sure that it's family friendly. It is a Nintendo game, and at least just change it for your dream town, and you can always change it back as well. Or just only share it to people that you trust. You can always set that privacy as well. And a new thing is that the info on your bulletin board is shared with others. So if you have like a drawing or something that you don't want people to see, then that is something that everyone else will be able to view. There are a lot of town themes that like I actually visited a horror town yesterday. So it's supposed to be like kind of rundown and grungy, and they're just kind of sharing it and saying, hey, this is a horror town, like please do not show your 5-year-old this town. So if you're careful with that, you should be okay. I just know right now, because it's new, there's a lot of people reporting things for like anything. So I would be super duper careful. I have not been to your town, Ariel, so I'm not entirely sure what your theme is. I'm a little worried now. But yeah, just I would like rather be safe than sorry, or just wait a minute before you upload your dream address, or keep it private so only friends can see it. I think that's what the privacy does. So you should be okay. But yeah, a lot of people did not realize this, but they are giving people like multiple like warnings for it. So they're saying, oh, you were reported for this. We took down your dream address. Don't do it again. So if you did upload it, you should be okay. And don't forget, you can share it if your town is good. Basically, any form of social media that I've used has a community for it. And so, like, I listed Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Facebook. I know Pinterest also has communities. It is everywhere. Just as long as you find it, you can either find a dream address or you can share yours. I had like the tiniest little Tumblr blog back in the day, and I shared my dream town once, and I was just like, hey, all my trees are pink still. And I got a whole bunch of people that followed and checked it out. And now Animal Crossing is even bigger, so I'm sure you can get a lot of visitors. I know in the past there were prizes for amounts of visitors that you had, so that could be something to look into. Or you could also just probably have somebody visit you like 100 times to get all the bonuses. Okay, so some island decorating tips. So one big tip I have, my island is not like gorgeous. This is not my island, by the way. Like take this with a grain of salt. I've been too lazy to really do my island. There are a lot of online layout planners that we have. So I would recommend looking those up, trying to find something similar to your island and using it to plan. Not all of them are completely realistic for what you can do, because I know some people have been taking them and putting them into like a drawing app like Procreate, but sometimes that's not totally doable. But you can use those online layout planners to get an idea of what you want. I also recommend to look up and note the tile sizes of items and buildings in your town. You can, I saw a video actually earlier. I don't want to run it because my video crashed before, but I'll leave the links. And they block off the areas that they want to put things with different colored patterns. So they were like blocking off the rivers in blue, and then they were blocking off the buildings in red and the paths in yellow. So that way they kind of saw where they wanted everything beforehand before they moved things there. And that way their spacing was correct, because a lot of times I've sat there and been like, oh yeah, this is a good spot, and then it's like one square over from where I need it and it looks kind of weird. I've also seen people, if you dig holes around you, you can block off where your patterns go. So instead of having them like not spawn in front of you, but they spawn a little bit to the right, you can just like dig a hole around where your paths go and then put your patterns inside of that hole or inside of like the whole plaza, whatever you're doing, to kind of keep that area contained. You can also use it to be precise when you're planting bushes and planting flowers, so they go right into the hole as long as you're holding that shovel. I've also seen a lot of people turning around bookcases and other items for like the back of items to act as a fake wall, which is like genius. So I think I've seen bookcases, lockers, some of the screens, and they'll use the backside. So it's just kind of a plain wall that they can use, and they can like block off a little area for a cafe or a mini library, and it's been pretty cool. I also highly recommend to visit dream towns for inspiration. That is what they are going to be here for. So check those out. Check out like town tours. People have like speed builds on YouTube and like TikTok all over that you can find and kind of see their process, which has really helped me to like figure out. I was trying to make a heart pun for the longest time, and I just looked up somebody's like short, like 10-second video, and I was like, oh my God, now it makes total sense. And if all else fails, you can always start over, although that's a lot of work if you put in hours. You can always start over and leave your items with a trusted friend that you have. Or I've seen a lot of people that move all of their villagers, like houses and buildings, to the beaches because you can build right on the beach, and they just level out their entire island and start fresh. That's something that I've been debating doing. I'm just smothered in flowers right now, so it's been kind of a difficult process for that. Okay, and then kind of a recap. So these are some things I went over last time and that I was predicting that we would have, because this Animal Crossing game isn't like the other ones in the past where we basically had everything in just a few small patches. They've been releasing everything kind of in DLC. So I just kind of want to go over what everything that's like written without our little highlights have already been here for my last panel. And then if they're green, that's what we have now. That's kind of related to it. So not saying I'm predicting the future, but I am saying I'm kind of predicting the future. So island tours I was hoping for, we ended up having May Day. I don't remember if that happened right around the same time, but May Day, every day, I would love it. I wanted the red turnip trade back, but we actually already saw Pascal in his shell trade. So when you get Pascal, or when you get a scallop, you get Pascal now in this game. In Wild World, the red turnip trade was really big. It was the only way to get the golden axe, and it was like a real big deal. So whenever you got a scallop, you held on to it forever, and you would hope that you somehow saw Pascal on a day that you had the scallop, and you would give it to him, and that would start this whole trade, and you had to hope you got the correct item. And we now have Pascal, so I don't know if we're going to have the red turnip trade. I don't know if he's going to start handing out like random rare items at some point, but it was also how you got cool things like picture frames from NPCs. So I have KK Slider's picture in my old Wild World town, and it's like my prized possession. So things like that were really, really cool. I loved the trading aspect, and it seems like they're going to start at least bringing in little bits and pieces of it. We still don't have a shopping center or a main street. We still don't have a flea market. We still don't have donations or the boondocks. Dream towns, we got them. I highlighted the entire thing because I was just super duper excited. I could not see them not including dream towns at this point. They're so much safer to just have people visit your town via a dream town rather than having to like chaperone people all day and going in through your gate and crashing the game and stealing items. Like, it's a mess. Like, I've only done small things with like 3 or 4 people, and it's still always a mess. I would love our talking events to still come back. So these events, you are able to change villagers like catchphrases or their greetings or like give them little cheers. I know they actually ask little things throughout the day. So they'll ask you like, oh, what's your favorite sport? What do you like doing for fun? And you can answer them. You can answer them like truthfully, or a lot of people have been doing like really fun or raunchy answers, and it's pretty entertaining. So they have a little bit of that, but I'd love a whole like day devoted to that where it's like, okay, it's gonna be like an icebreaker day, and you share everything about yourself, and you can just change all their catchphrases. It is so fun. Or they would give you like different town tunes that you could share. I was hoping we would get a Lyle and Red duo, so when you had Lyle in the old games, you could actually like set a day that Red came to your town to sell his artwork. However, Red has apparently been patched to appear more often. I don't remember if this was in the last update or the one before that, but Red should be showing up more often on town, so that might be as close as we're gonna get. I would love to have, I always set Red to show up on my town on Fridays because I always played on Fridays, so that way I could get my artwork, but we shall see. Our old NPCs, we got Pascal back. We are also getting a fall update, and they showed Jack's head, so he's our little walking around pumpkin king, and I'm very excited for him to come back. He is adorable. Still holding out on unbreakable tools. We have our golden tools. I'm hoping they bring in like a platinum tool or something that just won't break because I hate breaking tools with a passion. And then gyroids have not been added any further than Lloyd, who collects your money for your donations, but they're in the official guide. So that tells me that they're coming at some point. I also think there was something mentioning Brewster, and that he used to collect gyroids. So I'm really hoping we get a cafe where you can give your gyroids to Brewster and they start showing up. I love the gyroids so much. They are obnoxious and they have like a little creepy backstory to them that some people like to share. Like Coco is basically a gyroid. They're supposed to be like little like presents left for the dead or something. I don't know. It was like a creepy aspect and I love it. So I want them back, and I'm hoping and praying because they're in the guide, and they actually talk about how they show up after rain. So I know they're coming at some point. We just don't have any confirmation of when. Maybe they'll come for the fall update. That's something that I feel like would kind of make sense, especially if they go with like the creepy, like, oh, these guys only show up after like bad storms aspect. But we will see. I'm hoping. I think somebody had mentioned a police station for something another day, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm hoping our police station friends come back. I could use some little dogs in our life. Okay, and then anybody has questions, which I'm not sure if we do. I'm actually not even sure who is on. I found this picture from somebody. Their villager glitched into the river and was saying, oh dear, and that's how I feel anytime I get asked to ask questions. So if anybody does have anything, feel free to ask. If not, if you have, if you do have,
I do have a question.
yeah, go.
Okay, so I have not played the new Animal Crossing game just because I don't have a Switch. But I used to play it a lot on GameCube. So how does it compare between the two games? Um, I imagine that the newer one is better from what I've seen, but I know like in the GameCube one, like if you could like go to a different island, if anyone remembers that, but you had to have like the additional like what was it like memory card piece or something like that to do that. Can you still do that in the new game?
So you can't, well, no, they have like little islands that you can go to. Let me see. I'll actually see if I can like Google a picture real fast. And they have like island, I don't know if it's Island Tours is the official name, but you can go to, they have an airport and you can go to another island and they will have like different fruit or different fish or like different villagers walking around. You can get bamboo and you can check out those islands, which is really cool. This game is actually, I've noticed it seems like really heavily based off of the GameCube game. So a lot of concepts that were in that game, like them working out in the plaza, was a really big thing from the GameCube that everybody kind of like made fun of, but they brought that back. So now they'll all like run around and just be like randomly like lifting weights in a field of flowers for no reason, and it's pretty adorable. It's very comparable to the GameCube with a lot of the content, but they've added a lot of the extras from the old games. It's kind of like a really nice hodgepodge of everything, which I love. So I definitely think if you liked the GameCube one, you would like it. But I know Switches are like impossible to find for a decent price right now. So I won't tell you to go out and run and buy one just yet. All right, so what I will do, I will put up my info. If anybody needs to take it down, I've decided to advertise my TikTok, even though it was like possibly getting taken down today, but that hasn't seemed to happen. And I also have a Redbubble where I make some like weeb related stickers. But that info is up there. If you have dream addresses, because I actually have a slide where I'm going to write everything down after I share everything. If you wanted to share your dream address, I'll write it down and then I'll give it to people. But if not, that is basically all I got for you. If anybody still has questions, you can feel free to ask them or like message me privately if there's anything that you really need to know.
Ariel did say in the comment, I want the gyroids so bad.
They are so great. I cannot wait for them. They're fun because they harmonize together. I don't know if they have them in the GameCube one because I didn't play that one too much. I only had it on an emulator and it would like crash every time I played it, and Rossetti kept yelling at me and I kept crying. So it wasn't a very fun time, but like they harmonize together. They're so fun. And yeah, Ariel, I kind of told myself I wasn't going to play until they had Dream Towns because that's was like my only goal of New Leaf was to have a nice Dream Town. And now they have them, so now I've been playing again for the first time since probably like June, like beginning of June. But I've been playing a lot of actually like Story of Seasons and Harvest Moons, those other kind of farmy games, because the Animal Crossing burnout has been getting real.
So you said who your favorite villagers are. Why? I'm just curious.
So Alice was my favorite villager. She was always in my brother's town, and then she would always like stay in my brother's towns for like a week and then move to my town and stay in my town forever. So when I was a kid, I just like convinced myself that she liked me more than him. So Alice has been like my favorite since then. Bruce, he's this little blue deer, and he's like a cranky villager, and he was one of the first ones to move in my new Leaf town, and like I think he was like my fourth villager to move in, and he is still there. Like I've had this town since God knows how long, like since it first came out, and he's still in my town, and he moved right next to me, and he used to run up and say hi every day. So I was like, okay, he's my favorite, and I like randomly found him on an island tour one day, and I was like, yes, I need to get him. Like he's gonna be in my town forever. And Vesta, she's a sheep, and I just honestly think that the sheep villagers kind of look so hysterical because they're just so fluffy, and I love it, and they remind me of my cat.
What is something you don't like about the Animal Crossing game?
Oh man. So the one thing I keep yelling about with this one is like I really liked the pacing of New Leaf better. I don't like how this game is releasing everything in just DLC. I also really hate crafting in it. And I feel like a lot of people love it, but it's just something that like my town is literally lagging because I have so many flowers and I keep trying to dig them up and my shovels keep breaking and I cannot like mentally process it. So I'm just like, nope, I gotta put the game away for like a little bit and come back to it. But it's I feel like it's terrible because I keep comparing it to like nostalgia games, and I'm like, obviously it's not going to be the same now because I'm 25 and not like 13. So it's definitely a whole different experience from my first few games. but that gets annoying, and the fan base is a little like cringy and Karen-y right now.
I mean, my roommate was just like sharing with me how like online it's like its own capitalistic society of just Animal Crossing where people fight and like sell things for a crazy amount of bells.
It is insane. New Leaf was so like laid back, and like I sold villagers back in the day, but it was something like I stumbled upon by mistake because I apparently had somebody really popular in my town, and I like posted a Tumblr post, and I was like, oh hey, I have like this person in my town. Wasn't expecting anything, and then I got somebody that's like, I'm gonna give you 10 million bells for that villager, and I was like, what? So it was like crazy, but it also like now it's like there's the people who like will sell villagers and people who won't, and I'm like, if somebody's gonna give me money, like that's fine, but like I don't care.
Yeah.
Or it's like very like strict, like I'm gonna play like day by day only on like real time, and I'm never gonna skip time. And then I know people that are like, I'm gonna make it Christmas year round. Like I had a Christmas themed town at some point. So it's like a very weird, like a lot of people are like so like strict on the game now, and like I see a lot of people calling things cheating that aren't cheating, and I'm like, no, I'm like, just let people play. If it was cheating, they wouldn't let you do it. They would like ban you for doing it. But
yeah, I mean that's the point. It's for you to like build your own world.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's like telling someone how to be god of the world. Like that's not how you should do it. My morality of the god of this Animal Crossing is better.
Sitting there like over your shoulder as you're playing The Sims, like, excuse me, you can't put that there. It just, yeah. Some people are getting so ridiculous. Yeah, people aren't allowed to have more fun than me, basically. Or I see a lot of people who are like, I won't time travel, but they're buying items that are like different fall recipes. So I'm like, you can't get that unless you either time traveled, and you could be in a different like region, but I'm like, or you bought it off of somebody who time traveled. So the community has been a very big pain lately, but I've actually found there's like an Animal Crossing 21 plus Facebook group that's actually like very chill. There's like occasional people sharing like very raunchy things about the game, but for the most part, like it's funny and they're less judgy. Yes. Like people trying to say that Tom Nook is a villain. Like no, that this man like he's helping you build up from the ground up. Yes, they're all capitalists, I guess, but like no, they're all animals and they're all just here to be nice to you, and that's their job. Except for Queenie. Queenie is terrible and should never be trusted. Yeah, there's a what did Queenie do? So Queenie has been in my city folk town forever. And every single time I restart it, she ends up in my town and she is so mean. And no matter how many times I hit her with a net, no matter how many times like I just sit there and try to like time travel, she stays. I don't know why. She popped up for one of the villagers that I could like get on one of my island tours, and I nearly like flipped out. But yes, she's a little purple peacock. Like in theory she would be really cute, but she is just like so mean to me and I can't. Her, and then you have her? Oh no. Oh, I might have to go to your town just to bully her if that's okay. She loves you. I'm glad she loves you. She really did not like me. I don't know why. Maybe it was just because my character always just like hit her with nets, but that's probably my own like 13-year-old self's problem, but I still have some PTSD from it.
Wait, isn't there like a part of the Animal Crossing culture too, where you just like bully villagers until they leave just because you're like you're ugly, like like get out of this town?
Yeah, a lot of people will do that. It's funny too because like I always want to. Apparently, like the bullying and actually reporting them can reset their stats and make them stay longer, which is a very interesting. Like they'll move out when they think that you like them, because then it's like you kind of like completed their quest. So it's a very like weird reverse thing, but it's also kind of fun to have a villager that you don't like. Like right now, I'd like all my villagers. My last one that I wanted to leave just left, and I accidentally hit like little baby Aurora, like this cute little penguin with a net the other day, and I nearly cried. But yeah, it is definitely an interesting culture, and I feel like it's hard to like explain to people who haven't played it. Like, I don't know, like it seems like such like a, I mean, I guess it is like a kiddish game in a way, but there's like a whole like people on like Facebook especially have been like very like religious about it and like how they have to act and be in the game. Like you would think it's some like strategy game.
No, definitely. Like it's so interesting to me just as like a outsider viewing in, because when I played the GameCube one, like it was big, but like it wasn't like this big. Like I remember I was like more like playing by myself, and I think that's why I stopped playing at one point, because you kind of get bored. But I think it's so interesting how with like the new Animal Crossing game, like there's literally a culture with it, and like so many people are playing it online, and there's like a giant fan base, and I think that would make the game have more like it'll last longer, just because there's so many people constantly playing, and it'll like make it more interesting to play. Like there's more of a community.
Yeah, definitely. I always keep saying that I think quarantine kind of happened at like the perfect time for Animal Crossing, because it was a great game that like you could just recommend to anybody to play. Like you could be like, hey, you could play this with like your small child. Somebody's like, there's a character in the game that's based off of somebody's grandma that was playing Animal Crossing all the time. She's like a little orange wolf named Audie. Like she's based off of like an Animal Crossing grandma. So it was like a nice like, hey, you have nothing to do, buy Animal Crossing. But in the same sense, it was like a very strange thing to blow up and get that community. I think it'll definitely keep it around longer, but I think it's bringing in a lot of problems that like really casual players never saw coming. Like everybody reporting Dreamtowns for no reason.
And there's like a hierarchy, like you're a prestige Animal Crossing player and you're at the bottom, like a social class in the community.
Well, it's funny, a lot of people, because I keep telling them I play Animal Crossing all the time, like, I want to visit your town, it's probably so pretty. And I'm like, it's literally just covered in a bunch of like random lilies everywhere, because that's all I had like the patience to do to get to 5 stars. It's just like random like utility sinks in the middle of like my bamboo. And I'm like, I just kind of play casually. I wasn't playing to like be competitive. But it's cool because like you can like be really like perfectionist. I know some people who like made a perfect town within like 2 weeks and like they look so awesome, and it's really cool. But it's definitely become like a hierarchy of like either like I play perfectly and don't time travel, or my town looks like amazing. And I'm just kind of in between where I'm like, well, I like going on to say hi to Bruce every day and sending letters to my villagers. But it's a cool something for everybody.
Does anyone have any last comments or questions? Okay, well, thank you for your Animal Crossing panel.
Yes, thank you. And thank you guys for your lovely commentary as well. It is much appreciated.